This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
OBJ is going to be pissed because remember, we've decided that OBJ, he wants to be both a number one and a contender. He doesn't want one or either. And over there, I would pick Devontae Adams over Odell Beckham Jr. 100 times over 100.
Nick Morganson. Looking at the whole Nets organization as a whole, with all the garbage they've gone through so far in the past year, whether it was the whole abuse situations, they can't control management situations if it bit them in the you-know-what. And Nick Federa.
All the problems that you could trace back to this season were because of David Quinn.
Empty the Bench starts now.
That's right, the amazing Saturday Night Matinee. We are actually going to have Logan Paul fighting the Rage the Elephant.
Well, not quite. Tonight's UFC 262, but that's not exactly on the card. Also, UFC 262 is kind of nowhere in our topics for today. But hello, everybody. Welcome to Empty the Bench, episode 85. Tom Albano here along with Nick Federa and Nick Morganson, as always. Gentlemen, we still have a lot we got to go through today. We got the sports media news. We've got yet another week where we've got to talk about the Green Bay Packers and their drama. And COVID is back in the fray, although kind of in a more bizarre scenario than we're used to talking about. First of all, of course, this is twitch.tv/ETB Sports. Please give us a follow and subscribe, and go follow us across all our social media platforms. You can see all our Twitters down below. ETB Sports is also where you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. So with that out of the way, gentlemen, we have a lot we have to get through today. So let us begin with, COVID rearing its ugly head among our team. Well, not just in our team, also with the San Diego Padres. So context is necessary. The New York Yankees are now up to at least 8 positive COVID cases. This includes a lot of the coaching staff, Matt Blake, the pitching coach, first base coach, third base coach, and now very recently Gleyber Torres, who tested positive in December, got fully vaccinated, and everything. He's asymptomatic. Actually, most of these guys are asymptomatic. I think there's only one symptomatic person.
Actually, he doesn't have symptoms anymore.
And he doesn't have symptoms.
Aaron Boone.
Okay. But regardless, 8 positive cases now across the Yankees. And as much as the Yankees will be like our main talking point because it is our team, and that is where the more COVID cases are, we cannot be remiss if we did not mention the Padres are going through something similar, including perhaps the guy who is taking over the title of the face of baseball, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yeah, and the way this whole situation is going, Rob Manfred has a lot of speaking to do, not just with this whole situation, which we're going to get into, but we have relocation to talk about. We have hitting numbers to talk about. Rob has a lot to speak up for. This whole situation with the Yankees having 8 positive tests. First of all, did they break COVID protocol with 8 positive tests? You have all your coaches. Why were the games not canceled? This is what I don't get. Why are the games not canceled?
If you take what Aaron Boone and the other Yankees have said over this past week, it's about to be, that they were, since they got their 2 weeks past their vaccination, now they did have the Johnson & Johnson shot, which is only 66% effective, according to the CDC, and but they had let their guard down a bit, and apparently that is what led to the positive test. Now, we don't know who the case was in this situation that had spread everything around, but, I mean, somewhat contradictory. I do feel, there's a lot of people on Twitter and on social media and even in the media playing armchair epidemiologists and saying, see, this is why vaccines don't work. No. This is proof positive that they do work, because even though they have the COVID protocols are in place and they are testing positive for the virus, 7 out of the 8 were asymptomatic to start with, and the one person who was symptomatic, who of course turned out to be Phil Nevin, according to Aaron Boone, is no longer symptomatic, like Tom just said. So really, imagine how much worse it would have been if, of course, they did not get vaccinated.
Right, but at the same time, why has Rob not spoken up and said anything? Hey, 8 positive tests. Why is there not an investigation going on into how these COVID positive tests were happening?
Well,
They might feel like their contact tracing isn't really league-wide contact tracing isn't necessary, so just leave it to the teams to do it.
But there's one more issue here. With the whole Padres situation when Tatis tested positive and then they pulled Profar and Mateo and Hosmer, who was in the game when they pulled him out. And this goes back to, and Tom will remember this because we covered this after
Justin
the World
Turner.
Series. Right, with the World Series, when they pulled him out in the 7th inning when they found out he tested positive. That, I'm sorry, and Nick, you know this too, from a general standpoint. You don't just randomly test positive in the middle of a game. I'm sorry, that's not how it happened.
Randomly test positive, it would have had to be you don't get the results back until partway into the game, and that's really a failure of the not scheduling.
I was going to ask, shouldn't we be getting the results before the game?
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly, we should be getting it before the game, and you should be held out while results are pending.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The rules should be that if you are in any way, shape, or form in contact with anybody and you have to get a test of any sort, you can't play that day, or at least until you get the results.
Now we know, according to what Boone had said, that most of the Yankees players, in fact, the ones that are vaccinated, got the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. And we know that vaccines are not 100% effective. It's not a silver bullet. But I can't help but think, couldn't you have gotten the 2-dose regimen from Pfizer or Moderna? That's a little bit more effective.
That's my question here. It's Major League freaking Baseball, for crying out loud. They have more money. They print more money than we're used to seeing. Why didn't they get the most accurate test or most accurate vaccine with the highest percentage?
If you want my opinion, because their season was starting, or they were already in the middle of the start of the season, they said, we got to go. We got to get the quickest option, basically.
So they took the 1-shot and not the 2-shot regimen.
Yeah, and now they're paying for it.
Again, but you still, go ahead.
I was going to say, do we know, like Mr. NBA, do you know if the NBA did the 2-dose? Do we know if the NFL was doing the 2-dose?
I think the NBA did Pfizer. If I know correctly, I think they did Pfizer. So, I first of all, I think the NBA was more willing to spend the money than Major League Baseball was.
The NBA was willing to jump the line for the vaccine. They were willing to jump over,
and that becomes its own set of problems, especially when there was a shortage earlier in the year.
We did that story, but we never officially confirmed if it was actually going to happen. But at the same time...
Well, it turns out they didn't. They waited until...
Yeah, they waited until it was more widely available.
Yeah, because that would have been a PR nightmare if they had jumped the line.
Right.
If they had done so, but still, in this case, at least looking at what the evidence is for Major League Baseball, this could have been a lot worse. As bad as it seems right now. Like I said, at least they're not getting sick.
You don't think 8 positive tests is a massive problem?
8 positive tests, but the fact that they're asymptomatic is not nothing.
Well,
no, I understand that.
I was going to go, I guess, back to a question that Nick was referring to earlier. So we're talking about coaches and we're talking about Gleyber Torres. They're all in the dugout. Shouldn't all the Yankees be in COVID tracing protocols
or quarantine?
Technically, they define close contact as being within 6 feet of the coaches in question.
They're in the locker room. They're in the locker room sharing the same air in a closed locker room.
The Yankees must have protocols to keep everybody separate for more than 6 feet away for longer than 10 minutes. That's how they define close contact.
Or I'll give you my other opinion, because this is what I told you guys before we've had the show, that with Major League Baseball and all these other sports, it's not a matter of player safety. It's a matter
of bottom line.
Getting as many games as you can for each team in, and having as regular of a season as you can.
I just find it funny that they care about the money, but at the same time, they play these politics. Like, I'll give you an example, the NBA with China, or Major League Baseball dealing with giving money to a certain administration.
Or what we just said before about about Major League Baseball not being willing to spend on the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine.
Rob's got a whole list of issues that he needs to get under control.
And we'll get to that, but I do want to ask, because I don't know, is Tatis, is he symptomatic? Or was he vaccinated?
He was. I don't know if he was vaccinated. I just know that he tested positive, and according to protocol, you have to be out 14 days. So
10 days.
Tatis is asymptomatic.
No. But for Major League Baseball, I think it's a 2-week rule that they had in place.
I thought the Yankees said it was 10 days.
Oh, I thought Major League Baseball had the 14-day protocol.
No, they had shortened it from 14 to 10 earlier in the season.
Okay, so
because they normally go by CDC guidelines.
Well, okay, so first of all, before we get into it, so Fernando Tatis Jr., Will Myers, Profar, we were mentioning all the names. So
Mateo, yeah.
ESPN, this is a story from 4 days ago, so I don't know if this is the most up-to-date, but as of 4 days ago, Tatis was asymptomatic. However, the Padres had yet to reach the 85% threshold of vaccinations that would allow for lesser restrictions around the team.
Ta-da!
That's even worse. That's even worse.
I mean, we hate to turn the opening segment of this show into a vaccine infomercial, but I think the two of you, would agree with me when I say vaccines, they work. Get yours today.
Yeah, I'm tired of people being anti-vaxxers, and because the longer these anti-vaxxers are out there, the longer we're going to be stuck in this large circle, repetitive circle.
This feedback loop of pandemic.
Wait, what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again and hoping for a different result.
Exactly, and that's what the problem is here.
Yeah. So I was going to say, and one last thing here, because we do have to mention it, because, it should be good news, but it isn't exact. But there's a lot of questions around it. Of course, all this MLB positive case stuff is happening at the same time that the CDC has announced that basically, if you have passed the fully vaccination point, if you have gone your second shot in the case of Moderna and Pfizer, or your one shot with the Johnson & Johnson, you have made it past the 2-week point, then you do not have to wear a mask indoors or outdoors. I believe there is a lot of exceptions, though. Public transportation, I believe office buildings or like private businesses, it is up to them to. Sporting events, you still have to wear masks.
Now, our home state of New York has not adopted these rules.
Correct.
Yet.
I was going to say local and state regulations will override federal, which is very weird to say.
It is really weird to say, but this is dumb. Are we going to go back on the honor system? Are you just going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm vaccinated," and then just cough over everything? What are you expecting?
I'll give you an example. I was walking around doing errands yesterday with my mother, and all of a sudden as I'm walking by somebody, I hear them say, "Oh, I'm just going to tell them I got the vaccine," and I'm like, "Wait a minute,
just say it." Yeah. You can get fake vaccine cards. I really wish you could.
No, forget the vaccine cards. Forget the vaccine cards. They said they were just going to walk into somewhere and say, "I got the vaccine."
Yeah, and just take it as okay, face value.
And it's kind of sad, guys, because honestly, we should be celebrating this as a step in the right direction. That we should be celebrating this as a time where everything is going to be, back to normal. But with how much BS we've seen over the past year, it's questioning a lot of, like we just said, can you really trust people?
Because this was a business decision, not a public health decision.
You also run into the issue where they say you can't wear you don't have to wear masks anymore. It's like you can't go up to somebody and say, "Did you get your vaccine?" You legally can't do that.
Well, so you're running into a wall here, but
right. And again, it's kind of sad because if you guys remember what they had just announced recently with teams like the Yankees or even with the Long Island Ducks, that, if you have gotten the vaccination, your vaccines, and you had proven, like the vaccine card or whatever, you could be in a section where you'd have to wear your mask, but you can be in a 100% socially distant free. Like you could have the lesser restriction area as opposed to the pods or whatever, where you'd have to be 6 feet apart from one another.
This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing that now we have to separate vaccinated from non-vaccinated because people are too stupid to get the vaccine.
And again, and it's sad because again, this should be a celebration of, we're moving in the right direction, because it's already, I can already say we've already made a lot of progress from where we were May 2020.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is we just have to be careful for the winter, because that's what they're saying with everything. But if we can get past the winter, we'll be fine at that rate.
Again, we must reach herd immunity. And if anything is going to go back to normal, we need to reach that number.
And again, like, I don't want this opening segment to be a vaccine promotion, but I mean, when you consider, maybe the potential reasons for the CDC announcing this combined with this little news bit here, it kind of is promotion about getting the vaccine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it kind of comes off. It kind of comes off that way. We apologize, but it means a lot.
Well, speaking of Rob Manfred, should we continue down the list?
I was going to say, we've already put 15 minutes into that last one, so let's keep going. So now let's give a little more context here. So the Oakland A's.
I had a hot take on this one, but I'll let you go first.
Okay, so the Oakland A's, they have had a history with their county stadium. In fact, I think they were the last ones for it to be shared, between a baseball and a football team until the Raiders moved out to Las Vegas.
Yep.
So
and the field was a mess. Like, they had to keep changing it back and forth. Like, there were times that players would get hurt because they had to change it so quickly.
So the stadium, of course, they've been petitioning for years about getting a new stadium. Like, again, I just said they already lost the Raiders. So now the relocation rumors came up again this week, but this time it wasn't about the A's. I mean, it was about the A's, but it wasn't directly from them. So apparently Major League Baseball, according to these reports from multiple sources, at least the one I read was ESPN, is actually encouraging the Oakland A's to consider relocation if the local politicians don't approve for a new stadium. You
know what that means, right? That basically means we're not taking responsibility for it. We're going to let the local politicians be the reason you're not able to move.
So we've made our feelings on Major League owners and building new stadiums pretty clear throughout our podcasting career here on Empty the Bench and on our old podcast, the Unspoken podcast. So they're billionaires. You pay for it. Stop asking the taxpayers. I mean, we can add that as a baseline. But in this case,
well,
I mean,
But the question I'd say this is more of a question of should MLB be getting involved in this kind of matter.
Well, all right. I was going to wait, but I'm going to give the hot take now. So I think you know what I'm about to say. I said this to you guys that it's not major. Well, let's be careful. It might be Major League Baseball, but it's not Rob Manfred. Okay, can we stop when Major League Baseball is encouraging people to do things? It's Major League Baseball. When Rob wants to take the credit for everything, he says his name individually. So this is Major League Baseball. Instead, this is Rob Manfred sitting on his reclining chair, which he probably paid him $1 billion for, eating bonbons and watching the rest of Major League Baseball do the work.
Just sitting there with a bag of popcorn, just watching the fun unfold. And you know what it is? They're going to go to Vegas. I'm telling you, they're going to go to Vegas. If they relocate, they're going to go to Vegas.
Well, I was going to say the one sign you have to watch out for is the Las Vegas Aviators. So now the Las Vegas Aviators, they used to be, of course, the Las Vegas 51s. They used to be the Mets AAA team. They are now, ironically, the AAA team for the Oakland Athletics. And it depends on if they do something. Like, I don't know if they would move, because I mentioned to you guys, if they did because with minor league teams, especially in this new minor league system, they want the teams close together. So it's like, oh, we have a major injury, all of a sudden, hey, like in the case of this, hey, can we bring so-and-so over from the Aviators to the A's, and it'll only take, a short drive, maybe an hour or so.
Yeah, but
the A's owners are very capable of paying for this.
But I'm just saying, even if they do move, if there's the slightest move, even if it's just from Las Vegas to Reno or Las Vegas to say Carson City, and that Vegas team is like, that Vegas, there's no baseball team there anymore. That's a big sign that they're going to be making the jump.
Well, the one reason you would do this is because you want more and more sports being in Vegas. First of all, the gambling capital of the country. So you already have the Thomas and Mack Center where a lot of the NBA All-Star festivities are held. You have minor league baseball.
NCAA teams, I think, are there too.
You have NCAA teams. You have hockey already. I mean, so it only makes sense that Major League Baseball heads down there. But at the same time, again, this is not Rob Manfred making this call. It's Major League Baseball, which means everyone is working together and Rob is doing nothing.
Okay, well, one last thing then. Obviously we've heard rumors of other cities that it could potentially be. So the other rumors we've heard about, if it's not Las Vegas, it could be Portland, because Portland also has has a minor league club. Vancouver, British Columbia, up in Canada, which doesn't have, both of those don't have the same ring. You could obviously bring them over to Montreal to try to revive the Expos, but then you got to do all this different realignments. You got to change, the division structure, maybe even go back to the 16-14 AL and NL.
They had to pay fans at the end of the run. Wait a minute. They had 5,000 fans a game towards the end of their run in Montreal. And then, like Nick said, they brought up the rumor that they wanted to bring Tampa Bay back to Montreal to play there. You knew that wasn't going to happen because they wouldn't have had the money and the wherewithal to get the fans there.
Okay, so let's just...
There are fans in Montreal. They want the Expos to come back.
It's not going to happen.
All right, let's just wrap this up. But the bottom line, should the A's consider relocation after all this time? Yes or no?
Yes, but at the same time, the reason that the whole relocation situation started was because they were technically within the territory of the San Francisco Giants. That was the whole problem, and that's why they needed to relocate. So yes, they need to relocate, but out of California.
Only if their owners pay for it, but it'll be a cold day in hell when that happens.
That stadium is a nightmare. O.co or whatever they call it now.
But you know what they're going to do, Nick? They're going to put it on a ballot and they're going to leave it up to the people.
Yeah, it looks like a dingy fighting pit from a martial arts movie. Why do you want to play baseball there?
Why don't we just raise the taxes more in California so we could just pay for the stadium? Because that's what they're going to do anyway.
Again, billionaires can pay for things. It's amazing, isn't it?
All right, let's talk about one more thing here in baseball very quickly. So if you guys remember, we've been talking a couple of times about, the Yankees and their hitting struggles and everything. But if you look at the bigger picture, as it turns out, there's a lot of hitting numbers going down across MLB. I'm kind of shocked, because I play on a few fantasy fantasy baseball teams. And, it's kind of amazing how many, when I look at my players on my teams, I'm seeing like 230, 220, 180 even under the Mendoza line. The amount of players that we have right now that are under a 250, even a 200 batting average in the middle of May is shocking.
By the way, how many close call no-hitters have we already had besides the 4 no-hitters that we've had?
We've had actually, is it 4 no-hitters we had or 5?
4.
We have 4.
Well, okay. Actually, it's 4 no-hitters. Should be a 5th, but for whatever reason, they don't count Madison Bumgarner's 7-inning no-hitter. Even though it's not Madison Bumgarner's fault that they have to play 7 innings because Major League Baseball enacted that dumb rule.
Well, yeah, of course, it's a dumb rule. I mean, but unfortunately, he didn't pitch 9 innings, so unfortunately, it can't be a no-hitter.
Nick, I call BS on that. I'd credit Madison Bumgarner with a no-hitter.
Yeah, come on, give it to him.
It's debatable. I'll leave it.
Or if you want to credit him but make mention of it, the 7 innings, there is something you could use. Oh, I don't know. It's a symbol. It looks like a star.
Oh, an asterisk?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just
Wait a minute. You mean the thing they put on the Barry Bonds home run when they had that auction for who was going to buy the baseball?
But
the Astros nickname from here until the end of time.
I was going to say, they'll do it for Barry Bonds, but they won't do it for another cheating scandal in the Astros.
Well, actually, but wait a minute. That actually was Major League Baseball. If you remember correctly, the person who had the baseball put it up for bid, and then they put an asterisk on the baseball and sent it to the Hall of Fame.
Okay, fair. But I'm just saying, that has an asterisk now, technically, by not even by their choice, but Houston doesn't.
Yeah, why don't we just tap the garbage can 3 times and find out?
My point is, guys, this is and the sad part is we now know for certain now that MLB is messing with the baseballs. There were reports that the baseballs were going to be deadened for 2021.
Well, which I don't understand, because Major League Baseball goes off of one saying. Do we know what that one saying is?
Chicks dig the long ball.
Right.
Exactly.
So don't get me wrong. I used to be in the party of that. I would love to see 10-8 or 15-12 slugfest, but I actually like a little bit more of pitching duels because it makes the game go quicker.
Exactly. Major League Baseball. Stop messing with the baseballs. I'm sorry, guys, but who gives a flying fuck if it's a slugging game, that ends in 15-2, or a pitcher's duel that ends, 2-1.
We saw one the other day. We saw one yesterday.
But my point is, each Major League Baseball game has its own beauty and its own curses to it.
Didn't the Nationals win 17-2 yesterday?
Something like that.
I think they did something like that. But still, the point being, they make the dumbest changes at the dumbest times for the dumbest reason.
And the thing is, they're saying they're doing the runner on second base and the 7 innings and this because they want to speed up the game. But in reality, guys, it doesn't really speed up the game. And even if it does, they wanted it to go from 3 hours to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Guys,
that doesn't speed it up by an hour. It speeds it up by 2 minutes.
Right. No, but my point, guys, a hockey game is just over 2 hours and 30 minutes. A minor league baseball game is just over 2 hours and 30. 3 hours is not much of a difference of time.
It really isn't, especially. But who? And this brings me to my question, which I will put to you two, gentlemen. Who exactly is this for? Who are you trying to attract? Are you trying to attract younger crowds, or are you trying to attract the Goose Gossage, Phil Mushnick, cranky old man?
You're trying to attract the younger crowd because, unfortunately, the average age is like 60 and above when it comes to watching baseball.
Here's the problem that I have with that. Okay, because let's face it, younger people, even some of us in our generation don't exactly have the best of attention spans when it comes to watching this game. So you have Major League Baseball. What's wrong?
Nothing. No, I was just.
Nothing at all.
I thought I heard something. Okay.
Okay. So Major League Baseball, you go to a game, right? You go to a game, but they have all these different things where it's like, you don't have to watch the game. And now they're trying to enact all these different things to speed up the game. And it's lose-lose because here's why. It's not working on grabbing the attention and fandom of the younger generation. And then for guys, even like us, even from our age up to the Goose Gossage, Phil Mushnick holders, you're pissing them off by messing with what they thought was perfect. Nobody is winning in this situation.
I want to add one thing because that stupid second base, putting a man on second base. Why don't we just enact the mercy rule when we get to 10 runs? Why don't we just do that while we're at it too?
I mean, why not just bring back the dead ball there and have you plunk the pitcher to actually get them out, plunk the batter when they actually have to run around the bases? Why not just do that? Again, it leads to a slippery slope of questions that get weirder and weirder the deeper you go.
And now I'm not going to reveal their name, but it's somebody, over at Fansided had put this out on Twitter that, basically, why don't we, let's make it the pitch clock or whatever. Let's enact it and let's
I think that rule is stupid also.
Well, here's what he said. Let's do it and let's make it like 12 seconds or 15 seconds. The amount of pace you're going to be doing that, you're going to be blowing through pitchers' arms.
Right. And at the same time...
And we already have enough concern in this day and age with pitchers about, long-term injuries and Tommy John surgery.
Well, you're forgetting one other thing. Pitchers are creatures of habit. So now you're going to change their whole habit of how they... I have to speed up or otherwise I'm going to miss the pitch clock. Stop with these dumb rules. Like, it's a children's game.
This is getting out of control. This is getting way out of control.
Nick, it's like you said. This is a children's game. Just let them play it.
Again, Chicks dig the long ball. People like home runs. Give them more home runs.
And stop deadening the baseball. You really think that's going to make people happy that they're seeing pitchers?
Guys, don't juice the baseball and don't deaden the baseball. Guys, it's fucking baseball. It's fucking baseball. Like I just said, there's a beauty and a curse for every game, whether it's 13-2 or 13-10 or 1-0. Like guys, we just watched the Yankees and the Rays play a 3-game set where one of the games, they won 1-0. And, for as much as there wasn't a lot of runs, was it not beautiful watching Garrett Cole with the performance that he had?
I mean, it was. He was absolutely masterful out there.
And I want this to stop because, this goes back, and I'll wrap it up on this, is that Rob Manfred it takes responsibility for making the rules that were put into the game. When there's problems, it's Major League Baseball. And that's where I conclude my point.
All right, let's get out of baseball and let's get into the other story we got to talk about. Let's talk about some football. Guys, Tim Tebow's back in the NFL.
Okay. So why do I feel the irrational need to quote Mean Girls, a movie I've never seen?
Oh, I've seen it.
Trying to make Tim Tebow a thing. He's not a thing. So if I do that again, you have permission to slap me.
Okay, I need to say one thing. I saw someone tweeting out, a bunch of people in the media, that Tim Tebow is going to be the next 30 for 30 on ESPN for all the things that he's basically done. Playing in the NFL, becoming a priest, Tebowing, going to play Major League Baseball, now going to ESPN, becoming an analyst.
And now going back to the NFL.
And now going back to the NFL.
I was say it has been nearly a decade since we last saw Tim Tebow in the NFL. The last time we saw him in the NFL was prior to the 2013 season. It was the 2013 preseason where he was a practice squad, a preseason member of the New England Patriots.
There's one play that stands out in my mind.
The Broncos touchdown where they eliminated
where he ran all the way across field and got that touchdown. And it was an upset, wasn't it?
Yes, they upset the Steelers in the first round of the playoffs of 2011-12 when the Giants ended up beating the Patriots the second time.
Can we stop with the freak show side act? Because that's what this is.
Well, I would say let me give some context. So Tim Tebow is returning, but it's not as a quarterback. No. They are going to do the thing down in Jacksonville because he has signed a 1-year deal with the Jaguars, who, of course, are now coached by Urban Meyer, who was Tim Tebow's coach in Florida when Tim Tebow was in college before he came to the NFL. And so what they're going to do is something that they have talked about when Tebow was with the Jets, I believe, about the potential to turn him into a tight end. So
no, this has nothing to do with him wanting to be a tight end. Let's see how I want to put this. Wait a minute. Tim Tebow's head is up Urban Meyer's tight end. That's how I'm going to put it.
Okay, well, let me ask you. I was going to say, let me ask you then. So is this a case of Urban Meyer maybe wanting all his, buddies with him and down in Jacksonville?
No, it's not. It's literally what I just said. Tim Tebow's head is up Urban Meyer's tight end.
That's what he's doing, though. It sounds like that's what he's doing.
Or is this something by the Cons, maybe? I mean, so prior to going on the air here, we saw reports. So now we already had reports about Travis Etienne and how he was going to be the third down back. He was somehow going to be stuck behind Carlos Hyde on the depth chart. Well, now apparently in recent opening, off-season practices, they've been working Etienne out as a wide receiver.
So here's the thing, fellas.
What is going down there in Jacksonville?
Yes. What's going on? That's the question that I have to ask. What kind of freak show are they building there? I mean, look. Tim Tebow is not a man who's hurting for money. That I know. He made a lot of money. He made a pretty good salary as an NCAA analyst, and he makes pretty good money on the speaking tour circuit. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think he does.
Yes, I think he does. I'm not sure.
Or at least he did while he was with the Mets under minor league contract.
Would that be a conflict of interest if he went back to the NFL and was still?
I don't know.
I mean, I really don't know how that contract works.
But just guys, honestly, I'd say so. They obviously the Jaguars have Trevor Lawrence. Now they have all these whatever's going on with Travis Etienne. Tim Tebow's around. Guys, the next thing you know, the Cons are going to make some weird deal, and all of a sudden Cody Rhodes is now going to be a wide receiver. Cody Rhodes from AEW.
It really does seem like Urban Meyer's trying to build a spaceship out of an old refrigerator.
Urban Meyer shouldn't be coaching in the NFL. How about that?
I mean, we've seen college coaches have a lot of unsuccess in.
Go ask Nick Saban how that worked out with the Dolphins.
Nick Saban, go ask Chip Kelly how that worked out for him.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about him. Grandma Wormtongue, yeah.
But I don't understand. Tim Tebow, like Nick said, doesn't need this. He's made his money. He's basically a freak show side act. Like I said, the Jaguars are basically doing this looking for attention. They don't need Tim Tebow. They have their quarterback. So it's not like Tim Tebow going to go back into the Wildcat like he did with the Jets?
And the sad part,
oh, God.
Well, we already have the Saints and Taysom Hill about that.
Go ask Jameis Winston how that's working out.
Oh God, guys, and the sad part is, Nick, we went through some of the divisions and the schedules that got released, and we said about the Jaguars with the new young talents that they have, like Lawrence and Etienne, they have the potential. Like let's face it, Indianapolis, they have Carson Wentz now. So, I mean, Indianapolis doesn't seem like they were just in the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to have the same success under Wentz as they did last year with Phillip Rivers. Houston's a dumpster fire and a half, so they're not going to be. That's like the Jaguars have the opportunity to compete for that AFC South division with the Titans if they made the right moves.
I still think the Jaguars are 2 years away at least from competing in any playoff mode. But why do you need the sideshow attraction? Why? Because you want the Jaguars' name to be said every week in the NFL, and then you're going to get all the rumors that when oh my God, why am I forgetting his name all of a sudden? Quarterback for the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. Wow, that name went out of my head. If Trevor Lawrence is not playing well, there he is, Tim Tebow. He could start. You're going to get those.
No, guys. If I remember correctly, they still have somebody under contract that just played quarterback from one big Mr. Mustache, Gardner Minshew.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about him,
I almost didn't recognize him without his mustache.
Of course, Trevor Lawrence came into fray, and then everyone's like, okay, who's Gardner Minshew?
Wait, you sure that wasn't King Kong in a disguise?
I mean, at this point, it would not surprise me if he somehow signed King Kong, a fictional character, to play for this team.
Again, I'm telling you, the Cons are going to take one of their wrestlers in All Elite Wrestling, maybe even Cody Rhodes, and they're going to sign him to be a receiver or a running back or something.
Get Roddy Piper, and I'm talking about WCW era, kilt-wearing Roddy Piper. Get him there.
We got to move on for time purposes, but I'll say basically, what's next? Are they going to bring back Chad Ochocinco to play... to play on the defensive line?
Chad Ochocinco's about to go fight a boxing match somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it could be worse. Like Nick had said in the intro, it could be like fighting an enraged elephant. So...
speaking of enraged, here we go again.
It's just the NFL dumpster fire just keeps on raging, folks.
So we have had a slew of reports about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers over the past week. So... guys, if you remember, I just in the intro, my quote I had mentioned about Davante Adams. Well, apparently Davante Adams has, at the very end of last week, start of this week, made headlines. Basically, he chimed in and basically said if Aaron Rodgers leaves Green Bay, well, then that's not going to be good.
Well, basically, because Aaron Rodgers came out in the media and said that the rumors were that he's talking to a bunch of guys and saying, "Oh, you come with me wherever I go." Now, how is that not tampering in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, is it tampering when a player does it with another
He's under
player?
contract with the Packers.
He's under contract with the Packers.
I'd say, are these confirmed though, or are these just rumors?
The reports came out that he was talking to other players on other teams to go with him.
Because I know reports are that he's talking to people in the front office saying he wants out.
No, but he was talking to other players too.
Because you really can't tell me that it doesn't happen with other players.
Of course it does. The NBA is the worst offender of that rule.
So
I mean, even in the NFL, I'm talking about.
All right, so we also had a report come out earlier this week that kind of went under the headlines that basically. Okay, so this actually came from these are multiple reports. So Dov Kleiman, Ian Rappaport, let's see, Mike Garofalo. So that's a bunch of NFL Network people.
The whole NFL media landscape was covering Aaron Rodgers.
So I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but apparently and The Athletic as well, that apparently the Packers made a, quote, significant long-term contract offer to Aaron Rodgers that potentially would have put him, in terms of contract, above Patrick Mahomes for the highest paid quarterback.
What?
And supposedly Rodgers did not agree, and the two sides are, quote, not in a good place.
The Packers are suckers.
So just to add some context here, a long-term deal again, context is necessary. A long-term deal in the NFL is a 3-4 year deal for a quarterback of his age. So he told them to shove it. And
if that, I'd say, I don't know about the validity of those reports, even though there's multiple people around it. But if that is true, that is the biggest sign he's done.
Yeah, that is pretty much. I mean, you have warning signs up.
And if you look at our thing here, there is one more report this week that Packers have also signed Blake Bortles as a potential backup quarterback.
Because that will definitely help.
So if you're a Green Bay fan, you might as well start your binge drinking right now.
It is trying to fix a gunshot wound with a couple of Band-Aids.
Wait a minute. Can I say it again because I said it in the last intro? Basically, the Packers management is shoving kibasas up the fans' ass instead of the management's ass this time, because now they don't know what the heck they're doing at this point.
I know what they want to do. They really, really want to get rid of him and have Jordan Love, but they don't want to piss off the fan base simultaneously.
And honestly, gotta say, because I know Nick Morganson, you were pushing for Aaron Rodgers for Baker Mayfield and OBJ, but now if you got Devontae Adams pretty pissed off at you and potentially wanting out if you lose Rodgers, Green Bay is just a freaking mess. They're not going to get anything.
I think that actually makes more of a case for the deal that I put out there. Yeah, I do. I really do. No, because if he wants out, then they're going to have to trade him. He's under contract.
But Nick, think about if you're the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of the most recent season, and Devontae Adams, probably the best receiver, second best receiver in the NFL for Baker and OBJ? No.
No, but I'm saying I think the Packers might cut their losses at one point because they don't want to deal with the headache.
But even then, if you're Cleveland, everything's going so well. You're going to give up those two guys and a bunch of probably first and seconds?
In my opinion, I think Baker's going to be on the down stock.
But then you're only giving the Browns like 2 or 3 years, and then it's like the situation for your Nets. If they don't win the Super Bowl, they're fucked.
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, I feel that Aaron Rodgers wants out. And first of all, if the Packers were smart, the same as Deshaun Watson in Houston, they would tell Aaron Rodgers, and I think the GM has already said it, we're not trading you. So either you figure it out here or you sit out. And we don't pay you.
But again, that goes to something I said last week, that Aaron Rodgers has made his money and won his Super Bowl and MVPs and everything. I could see him doing what Le'Veon did a couple of seasons ago, hold out the 8 weeks and not play in a season to be a free agent.
Yeah, and look what it did to him.
Yeah, but there's a difference between Aaron Rodgers and Le'Veon Bell. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, Nick. Can you do that impression of Terry Bradshaw again on wanting to use Jeopardy as a bargaining chip?
Well, why would you want to actually go to play Jeopardy? I mean, nobody actually likes to spin that wheel. All they want to do is just talk to Vanna White. Actually, there's no Wheel of Fortune, Terry. No, it ain't. I know my television.
All right. And speaking of rebuilds possibly going haywire, the Rangers have. I'd say if you remember, I had said if they fire Sather and John Davidson, they can't have David Quinn around. And well, it turns out, yes, David Quinn has been fired, and just about everybody on the coaching staff except Benoit. What's his name?
What's his name?
Benoit Allaire. Benoit
Allaire. So I know who they shouldn't bring in, and say it with me, folks. John Tortorella.
Well,
He should not be the coach of this team.
Well, apparently JD likes him, however, and Chris Drury, of course, played under John Tortorella.
So, are we looking at a redux of 2013? And oh my God, why?
Don't hurt me when I make this joke, but that would be really taking a straight shot.
Oh my God. Well, I'd say, if it means that
it's bad enough that I'm spiraling over this team, now I got to get your bad puns.
Well, if it means anything, Gerard Gallant, who coached the Blue Jackets, Panthers, and most recently the Golden Knights, I believe the Golden Knights that in their first year went to the Cup, he is also rumored to be in contention for the job.
I mean, Gallant, it would actually be a good choice because you need somebody with that kind of experience because we really can't have neophytes with the team this young.
And now,
structure.
Well, you also need some bodies. You need some
you need
muscle.
body. You need physicality.
But of course, there's also rumors now. They're going to lose a young player to Seattle anyways in the expansion draft. But now there is also a rumor that they are even more aggressive in potentially making a trade with Buffalo for Jack Eichel, which I would love Eichel to be a part of this team, but what are we giving up?
Yeah, what would you give up to get him? You would have to say goodbye to either Capo Caco or to Alexis Lafreniere, and that ain't happening.
This sounds like the whole discussion for the Aaron Rodgers trade. What are you giving up, depending on what team he goes to?
Exactly.
Yeah, the Packers are old as dirt. The Rangers are one of the youngest teams in the league.
That's true too.
The team is not even old enough to drink yet.
And they were doing so good in a rebuild because that's the thing. The Packers are in a win now situation where they've choked 3 of the last 5 years or whatever.
Things are looking up. I mean, it's raining. It's raining Skittles right now. You don't have to turn that Skittle rain into pea rain.
Oh.
By the way, speaking of cuts and not making it rain,
Kenny Mayne has reached a. Let's face it, he's gone from ESPN. He's the latest victim of ESPN cuts. He said it himself, quote unquote, salary cap tragedy.
Well, I would definitely call 61% pay cut salary cut.
Yeah, I would say that's a problem.
Now, we all know Kenny Mayne is one of the original guys back in the 90s.
And, big part of the childhood. Him, Rich Eisen, and Stuart Scott, and
Dan Patrick. Yeah.
And Dan Patrick.
Yep.
I mean, this is Sports Center. That was those are my weekday mornings before I went to school.
And by the way, he was their upfronts guy. I don't know if you know that whole story where he was the master of going to the upfronts and really like being a jokester and a clown and selling people into buying the program.
Yeah, Kenny Mainsky, remember that?
Kenny Mainsky.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Why would you cut him?
He did a lot of amazing different programs, and I think he had Main Street was a show. And
yep. I mean, let's face it, guys. Kenny Mayne will be fine wherever he goes next.
Yeah,
he will be fine.
I hate
ESPN. It's ESPN. You got to worry about.
I hate to say this to irritate Nick, but he might end up at Barstool.
Anybody might end up at Barstool these days.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, just for the gambling purposes, he might end up at Barstool.
Also, Barstool and the internet, a lot less restrictions than TV.
Well, not just that. ESPN has Mickey Mouse up its you-know-what, so they can't figure out how to control themselves.
Put together a YouTube channel. I'd subscribe to it.
I hate this. I know we're short on time, but I'll say this one last statement. I had the dream one day of working, whether it was ESPN radio or ESPN television. I want no part of it anymore. I can't stand what they're doing over there.
So, guys, speaking of people we're going to be losing into retirement soon, this story breaking before we came on the air, Marv Albert, after this NBA playoffs, will be saying goodbye. Nearly 60 years of broadcasting is about to come to an end.
He's going to be 80 this month, I think.
Yes, he is.
I mean, we just talked about losing, Kenny Mayne from ESPN, but Doc Emmerich, he retired after a long
This is
stint.
crazy. Over the past 2 or 3 years, we're losing the most prominent play-by-play voices in all sports.
I mean, people get old, but Marv Albert, I mean, the man's legacy is absolutely it's ironclad at this point.
Marv Albert, I feel like, was one of those guys where you would think he will be a part of broadcasting everything until he drops dead, basically.
Right, and he had his unfortunate incidents decades ago, but he got over it and he paid his debt where he couldn't be on for many years, and he came back and he was the same Marv all over
But
again.
again, that's why I said Marv Albert. I thought he was going to be here forever and ever and ever.
You mean the John Sterling effect?
Yeah.
They said the same thing about Vince Scully, but you know what? Time marches on.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we're getting old.
God, please don't remind me.
All
Do we have
right.
anything left?
Nick, say whatever you want for a couple of minutes about the NBA playoffs nearing, about this play-in tournament that the Knicks just avoided.
So, do I need to pull out my LeBron James? I'm an angry, bitter guy because I originally liked the play-in tournament because it allowed for more teams to play, or do I want to pull out the I'm a hypocrite LeBron James because now that he's in the play-in tournament, he doesn't like it?
Well, then again, you're always kind of wearing your hate LeBron hat, so
No, but answer my question though. It's a little bit hypocritical after saying
guys, let's face it. The NBA play-in tournament goes along with the extra rulings that they're trying to make in the MLB, and it's dumb.
No, it's the extra wild card in Major League Baseball. That's what it is.
It's dumb.
And there are teams that could actually get into the play-in game with a sub 500 record.
I was going to say, Nick, teams can already make the playoffs with a sub 500 record. Have you not seen the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom half of the Eastern Conference is as bad as sinking water during a flood. I mean, like, I have no answer for this. This is the NBA wanting to make more money because now when they go back to, I think they just restructured their deals for the NBA, but they could say, oh, look, we have a play-in tournament now. So now we got to add another layer of the playoffs. If you saw the Major League Baseball deal that's going to be coming in 2022, ESPN is now going to get like exclusive rights if they add, because they're talking about permanently adding the extra wild card round.
So I think we're lucky enough to, and I think you guys would agree, we're lucky enough to have both New York teams in the playoffs. The Knicks have been resurrected under Tom Thibodeau. The Nets are,
By the way,
all play together, they're really good.
If Tom Thibodeau doesn't win Coach of the Year,
I'll riot.
Then that's an absolute travesty. I'm telling you.
He has pulled off the basketball equivalent of a miracle.
I'll give you two. It's either Monty Williams of the Suns or it's Tom Thibodeau of the Knicks.
But then again, it's the NBA.
All right, one last thing here. A little funny NBA note. So Bradley Beal. So Kent Bazemore pretty much, was going after Bradley Beal. Kind of made mention to an injury. He never mentioned Beal by name. It was more of a wink, nudge, nudge. And Beal exploded.
In the NBA, you can't get away with saying anything to the media. It gets around. And by the way, NBA is the most Twitter-driven sport out of any other sport out there. Major League Baseball doesn't really use it at all. The NFL and the NHL, well. So the NBA is most Twitter-driven. Most of their big names are on Twitter. Look at LeBron James. Whenever there's an incident, he's on Twitter. So when I saw this happen, Kent Bazemore, by the way, is a nobody on the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, I was going to say, but the first time you hear his name, who? Bradley Beal, I know.
Well, yeah, Bradley Beal's probably going to be the next B star to end up on the New York Knicks in the offseason. But
oh, God.
But Bradley Beal, who, by the way, was defending himself for the dumb comments that Kent Bazemore... Now,
and he gets fined $50,000 by the end.
I will say that maybe Brad Beal might have grasped that gas pedal a little too much.
Okay, fair. You're right. But Kent Bazemore gets away with whatever he said.
First of all, if you're going to fine Bradley Beal for retaliating on social media, you need to go to Ken Bazemore and say you just totally broke the rules by going after one of your own guys in all of the NBA. So, good job. Good job, Adam Silver. Good job.
So I'll end the show by asking Vince McMahon openly, are we going to get the XLB or the XBA anytime soon?
I mean, don't give him that idea because why haven't I thought of that? Oh my God, that's genius.
No.
Where's Michael Jordan? Oh wait, he can't play anymore? Damn it.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, since we actually do we have any more stories or I want to make an announcement?
Nope. Let's make the announcement quickly.
Okay, so this is the first time in a while that we've had a major guest, and these two guys for sure love Around the Horn.
Yeah, especially me.
So do I.
Woody Page kind of influenced my entire personality when it comes to sports, for better and for worse.
That's a story for a whole nother time that we almost ended up with an interview with Woody Page. But we are, well, unfortunately, I don't know if you guys are going to be around for it, but this show is going to have the guest of Jay Mariotti is going to join the show as a guest.
He's an old school Around the Horn personality from the mid-2000s. He's currently working out of LA now.
He's working out of LA, and he's actually working, doing some column writing for Barrett Sports Media. So I said, this is awesome. And these guys keep asking me, how do I get these people? Open DMs.
I'm probably not going to be around for this, but like, you got to ask him about the sports media. You got to ask him about the Bears trading up with the Giants for Justin Fields.
Well, yeah, definitely. Because he was a Chicago guy for as long as I can remember. Yep. But we definitely got to talk about Around the Horn.
Mm-hmm. Oh my! Because to be honest with you, when you said you were sliding into somebody's DMs, this is not what I thought we were talking about.
Wow.
I thought it was about something completely different, and I apologize for jumping to conclusions, but yeah, this is actually a pretty good consolation prize.
All I could say is wow to that list comments.
So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Empty the Bench. Make sure to subscribe and follow us here on Twitch. Make sure to follow us across our socials on Twitter. You see all our Twitter handles scrolling across the bottom there. At ETB Sports, also on Facebook and on Instagram. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Empty the Bench. So for Nick, Vince McMahon Federa, and Nick, Colin Coward Morgeson, I'm Tom Aldano. And we'll see you next week on a new episode of Empty the Bench. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody!
Good night.